Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
And welcome back to another Vic Akers Wonderland Podcast WSL preview episode. We're discussing West Ham versus Arsenal this weekend. Well, we were going to be, but unfortunately there's been some breaking news that has rather knocked that all to one side, which we're going to come to. Before I do, it's only right that I welcome my fellow co-conspirators on the pod, the lovely Lottie and the magnificent Matt. So, Lottie, how are you doing?
I feel sad.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
I'm sad. But other than that, I'm all right.
I think the entire Arsenal fan base is in a bit of a mourning state at the moment, which we'll get into. Matt, do you have anything cheery you can offer the room?
Well, I always remember this. I can't remember the quote. Don't be sad that it's over. Be glad that they were here. Along those sort of lines.
Yeah.
And I know you'll bring it onto it, but I mean that you get that Friday feel, and then that news comes in, and you're just sort of into that like slump again. It's just a bit of a why did we have to get that news now? Why couldn't it have been like earlier on in the week? But it happens how it happens in the end of the day. It
is. So we'll abandon the pretense and we'll get straight into it. Jen Beattie, Arsenal legend, has left Arsenal. She's gone to Bay FC. So questions to pair of you, in your experience of being Arsenal supporters, men and women, what has been the most heartbreaking departure you've had to endure as a fan? Is there a player that you particularly loved that you then had to, sad to say goodbye? Lottie, I'm going to come to you first.
It's Rafaeli. I'm not over it. I'm not over it. There's no point in saying, I knew you said that, but I'm not over that. I'll never get over that.
Vieira, Henry, no, Hafa Sousa.
Yep, has to be. Well, for an Arsenal Women podcast, I thought that's what you wanted.
No, that's a fair shout. I mean, that was a very traumatic and shock departure. I just knew that would be the one you'd choose.
Oh God, I'm becoming predictable. I need to sort it out.
Matt, if you got a particularly painful player that you recalled leaving? I'm afraid we've lost Matt at the moment. We'll come back to him later. Well, we'll move on to the news. And the news is that Manchester United are out of the Conti Cup. They have sadly, they've been knocked out by a technicality, which is, Matt, you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes. We've got you back. Okay, we'll quickly go back to you then, Matt. So I know, sorry about that, everyone. We're not sure what happened there. We were just saying, Matt, what's the most traumatic departure as an Arsenal fan? Player leaving the club, what's hurt you the most?
Don't know what happened there, but I was talking and then you go, you lost me. I was like, what? Anyway, men's side, I'd probably say it was Thierry Henry, just because he was the legend that grew up with and a lot of people had as well. So him to go for, I'd say, a small amount in today's transfer market.
Like 16 million or something. It's really small.
Ridiculous. And you think, no, he's worth more than that. If you were to put memories on it, I think you'd probably be looking at maybe over a £200 million player at the moment. By the time that he left Arsenal, if I'm honest, when it comes to women, I would probably say Rafaeli as well, because it was unexpected. We were expecting her to carry on, and then she just went, no, I'm just because of family, I'm leaving. So it's fair enough on her, but it was just like she never really got the proper goodbye that she deserved.
No, she had a few more seasons at Arsenal within her. I'm not going to go down and play the Rafa card. I must confess, I try my best not to get overly emotionally attached to players because of the trauma that can happen when they depart. I will cheer and support them, but I'll never have the pain of obviously having to depart. The one I can think of is Daniela van der Donk, a player much loved by the fan base, very, very popular. And when she elected to leave and go to Lyon, that hurt a lot. And I think that maybe highlighted that there were, I would say it wasn't I wouldn't say it's an unhappy camp, but it was, Arsenal wasn't maybe the big power maybe we thought we were at the moment, if we couldn't keep hold of a player like that who sadly hadn't had a great season and has gone to do better things with Lyon.
What makes that one even worse, sorry Adam to interrupt, is the fact that she left after the COVID season.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of fans, that would have been my first season, and it would have been really nice to see Danny play the following season, but she left and it was just like, we've missed a boat here. It's just a real shame.
It was a real shame. And yeah, that's the one I would think, because other than that, we've had players come and players go. It's football. It is what it is. It's a ruthless game. And I think women's football is more unique, in which the fan attachment to players is so much stronger. So on the men's side, there's a greater love. Certainly, what I experienced when I was at Liverpool, and you see, the relationship with the players and the fans, how tight it is. Certainly, I think maybe I'm lucky in that sense. I'm sure if a Beth Mead or Alessia Russo or Vivian Miedema announced in the summer that they're off to somewhere else, I think maybe that would emotionally impact me. But touch wood, that hasn't happened yet. As I was going to say before we thankfully rescued Matt from the pits of a frozen webcam picture, in the news, Man United are out of the Conti Cup, with Sunderland taking their place due to Carla Ward and Aston Villa and Noel Maritz and that player admin mess up. Man United are crying foul. They see this as a bit of an injustice because Aston Villa have effectively broken the rules and are still in the Conti Cup, and Man United are out because the fact that they're now the third best runners-up team. It's all very complicated, PPG and goal difference. Taking aside the huge schadenfreude and humour as Arsenal fans, seeing Man United be knocked out of the Conti Cup, because let's be frank, not just Arsenal fans, all rival fans, seeing Man United knocked out the Conti Cup in this manner is very, 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 very funny. But if we take our rivalry and schadenfreude aside and look at this as a pure football perspective, Matt, have Man United been hard done by, or is this perfectly fair?
I can understand their side of it, but just to point it out is that the rules are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yes, they've broken them, but Villa still go through because of the points per game ratio. This then goes down to, well, what did United really do? Well, they lost to Man City 4 or 5-0. Again,
they lost 2-1.
Sorry, I'm building up the aggregate scores in my head.
No.
That's what's happening.
So Villa were the ones that are battering everybody in their group.
Yeah.
Villa actually, because Villa got a group which was just full of championship sides.
Yeah.
So they just battered everybody. I think it was like Durham, Sunderland. It was all the northern contingent. Whereas Man United were in group with Man City, Liverpool, Everton, and Leicester, which is all WSL sides. So they got a really rough draw. And I think it both comes out that both Villa and Man United were both in 5-team groups. Both of them won 4 and technically lost 1 with this thing that's happened. But of course, Villa had the easier group. They just battered all their teams. Their goal difference was so much better.
This is one of the worries that I have with the Conti Cups as well, is the fact that every single season it will always be Man City, Man United, Liverpool and Everton are all in the same group. It's never mixed about, and they need to change that. Yeah. I mean, it's okay for the London clubs because you've got the likes of Watford, Palace, London City Lionesses, etc. And then you might get a Reading or a Southampton, but they need to mix it up a little bit more, so then you have the more northern teams or the Midlands teams have a fairer share. It's not fair to. I always talk about how we have games where we've got. Let's use the Conti Cup for example. We had Tottenham midweek, goes to penalties, and then we had them again. At the weekend, and that's unfair because as we've come to know that you can't always win both games. It's one or the other, and especially when knockout football's on the line, you need to make sure that you do everything possible to qualify. So for me, in terms of rules and fairness, had United got a draw from that and potentially won the shootout, they would have potentially gone above Man City. So And
we should say it's a good point because it was in going to the last round of fixtures. It was in Man United's hands to go through. I know this sounds rather sort of belittling the task at hand. They just had to beat Man City and they would have gone through. As it happens, Man City are actually a half decent side and they actually beat them on the day. The whole group stage thing is a bit of a mess. For me, there has to be an element of seeding. You have to have a balance of Championship and WSL sides. You could have taken 2 Championship teams out of the Aston Villa group and swapped them with, say, Liverpool or Everton or Man City and Leicester. I don't know, swap it around, and suddenly you've got a balance of, like, our group, we had, was it Liverpool, Spurs and Bristol was our WSL sides, but we also had Reading and Southampton. That's a proper group stage. That's what we should have in a fighting group. It shouldn't be a full-blooded WSL team. Now, apparently these are all drawn. They're just freely drawn. There's no seedings. There's no mix and match like you do, let's say, on the Champions League group stage when they say, well, pot A is these teams and pot B is these teams, and you can see how it all lines up. If they're going to persist with the group stage, I think that needs a bit of a look at because you get these very silly group stages. The draw now is that Arsenal are away at LCL, as we've discussed before, and there is obviously a stigma attached to that tie, which I'm really not looking forward to. Spurs are at home to Man City, Chelsea at home to Sunderland, Brighton at home to Aston Villa. All ties on the 7th of February, all kick-offs 7 o'clock, apart from Spurs Man City, which is curiously at 7:30. But speaking of Brighton, Lottie, we had a managerial sacking. Mel Phillips sacked as the Brighton manager. Harsh or fair?
Let's be honest, they've put so much investment in over the summer, bringing the likes of Vicky and a few more players.
Brenda,
I can't think off the top of my head. Yeah, there's a few. They've bought in, they've recruited properly. I remember in like the summer window, we were sitting there, like, not obviously on the pod, we were sitting there, oh look, Vicky Losada's come back, and they bring in all these players, but the pieces don't seem to fix. They haven't done really well this season.
No.
But the kind of expectation is where they should be from everybody else, but for themselves, it's obviously a lot lower than what they wanted for this season. And them recruiting the way they did, they want to compete, which is always a good sign. And it's a good sign that the club is actually investing in the women's team as well.
It is. So we should say Brighton done some lot of good stuff behind the scenes. They've invested in a proper like training centre. They're looking to build a dedicated women's football stadium for the women's team. But I think the ownership came out or the technical director, whoever the representative was, and saying, they want Brighton, they want to be a top 4 team. And I really appreciate the ambition because too many teams just want to middle it out and just do the bare minimum to stay in the league, get a bit of money, get a bit of attention. Brighton, I think, no, we want to be in the higher order. We want to eat at the top table. Brilliant. We want to invest in this team and get really good players and come to a team to make us a brilliant team. Brilliant. But you can't do that in one summer. Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say, allegedly. But you look at Everton a few seasons ago when the ownership there decided just to throw money at the team. I think Willie Kogan had a decent season with Everton. I think they got to the FA Cup final. They were doing okay. It was just coming out of the COVID lockdown. And suddenly you had the likes of, I think they brought Leonie Meyer off us. They brought Tony Duggan in. They brought in a wealth of talent into the team. And they hardly won a game. And Willie Kirk got sacked because you cannot just piece together a brand new team on the fly. And we see it. It's obviously a women's football podcast, but if you look at the Premier League, look at teams like Forest, look at teams like QPR back in the day, it's a struggle to get these things to mesh. And I do feel sorry for Mel Phillips because I instinctively thought she was doing okay at Brighton until I looked and realised they're actually 10th in the table. They've only won 3 games in the league all season. It's not good form. And I understand their ambitions are higher, which is commendable. But I think a nice slice of reality pie might have been advisable in the Brighton canteen, because I think it's slightly delusional to think that they were going to be competing for top 4 already. So we'll see who comes in. They've got a decent team there to build upon, but I think building is the big question because they've struggled to do that. Breaking news: Jonathan Morgan has been sacked as a Sheffield United manager. He was obviously the manager at the time of the Malik Kuchak inquiry that's happening at the moment. But we understand the sacking is not to do with that. It's actually to do with the fact that it's been reported that he was in a relationship with a player whilst he was Leicester City manager. And his agency have sacked him as well. I would wager that he probably won't be in the women's game again. So that's make of that we will. The big news, as we were saying earlier, Jen Beattie has gone. She has left Arsenal. She's gone to BFC. And she actually, interesting, will be linking up with another ex-Gooner in Oshuala, who's been picked up from Barcelona. So, thoughts from the pair of you. We'll start with you, Matt. Jen Beattie. What's your big favourite Jen Beattie moment?
Actually, funny enough, Freddie, who was on the podcast when I wasn't here, did a really good job of upping up Leovelti during that time. But for Jen, I mentioned her interview when they were doing questions with Kim Little and Jen was asking her about Scotland World Cup, and Jen went for the men's instead of the women, and Jen just looked at her and they have to say, Kim, no, as sort of trying to tell her off at the same time. But Jen's one of those characters that you see a lot of on her TikToks and things like that. She's ones that brings the whole team together. It's whether it's little sing-song karaoke on the coaches for away days like it was at Liverpool. She's a very likable character, and I think it's going to be a big miss from us. But Jen's always been a fantastic player and a fantastic servant for the club. The fact that she went away to France, then she went to Man City, then decided, right, okay, I need to go back to Arsenal.
Come back home.
And she's come back home and she's given it 100%. And she has been fantastic from day one, I think. And I don't think a lot of Arsenal, well, I don't think any Arsenal fans can really say anything bad, bar a couple of instances, shall we say, that during the FA Cup final, but we do not like to talk about those.
We won't linger on that game. We won't linger on that game. Yes, look.
Yeah, as soon as you see.
Yeah, okay. Lottie's calling
what
us
are you
out.
talking about? It never happened.
The FA Cup never happened.
Dream.
It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. She is a legend. She is not just an Arsenal legend. She's a WSL legend. She was in the league at its inception. She actually scored the first ever WSL goal at Meadow Park. A rocket of a shot against Bristol City, which is on my feed. Do take a look at it. A bit of retro knowledge there. Lottie, I think we all know what your favourite Jen Beattie is at the moment. But I shall let you paint the picture.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely Jen Beattie's goal against Wolfsburg last season, and then bowling over and basically putting pop on her backside.
Yep.
We all know. I'm. This is probably the last time I'm probably going to get talk about it now. But yeah, no, that is one of my favourite moments, and I think the most recent one, it would have to be the TikTok that she released with Leah Williamson.
Yes.
Leah Williamson's playing the piano and Jen's on the guitar, and it's just like, oh, I love this. I think for me, as I'm a casual scroller of TikTok now and again, I'm always checking up and seeing what Jen's doing, because she's always got some great content, and I think I'm going to really miss that.
She does a lot of those dubbing, isn't it? They mouth the lines from a film or a TV show.
Yeah, she does.
Doing it like Catley and Bethany, which has been very, very funny. I've got a few moments just to pick apart. Obviously, I think one of the things we should shout at is the penalty against Spurs to win the shootout at Meadow Park in the Conti Cup, the Conti Cup earlier this season, which was a very nice moment and a very well taken penalty. Scoring against Paris FC. Ultimately wasn't to be, but that moment there was a magical moment. But I'm going to go for a goal which, in terms of football, was pretty inconsequential. It was part of a 5-0 battering Arsenal had away at Brighton. But she scored a header from a corner, and the entire team ran over and piled on and celebrated with her, because it was the first goal she scored, and she just since she'd been diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was
that was the flick one, wasn't it, into the back of the net?
It was. She headed it back and it was hooked off the line. And it thankfully had crossed the line. And it was she'd just been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she fought that off as she fights everything off. And that was a real touching moment, because at the time none of us knew really what the news was. It was just, we just saw it as a celebration. We didn't realize how much it meant. And I think Jen Beattie meant a lot to a lot of people at Arsenal and in the team, the fans. We see it with a lot of the content, as you say, with the TikToks behind the scene, which brings a lot of laughter and joy. And she's a very experienced, very knowledgeable defender. Sadly, I do think at her age in the game, I think the game has maybe she can't match the pace of the game anymore. We've seen that with the way that we've had to move to back threes when she plays, and I think this is a good time for her to exit stage left. I was at the Medeski Stadium. Well, no, sorry, the Select Car Leasing Stadium for our Conti Cup game against Reading when Jen Beattie was subbed off for Leah Williamson. And there was a nice moment where she bowed and she went off the pitch and Leah Williamson came on, and that was her last game for Arsenal. And for me, it felt like a bit of a passing of a torch. She only extended for one extra year in the summer. And for me, obviously no evidence for this, but this is my opinion. I think she was kept on to provide Arsenal with cover whilst Leah came back from her ACL. Well, Leah is now back from her ACL. She is now getting minutes. And I think if we could be honest, when you look at the defenders we've got now, I would struggle to see Jen Beattie getting many minutes ahead of the likes of Amanda Listed, Lotte Wibbermoy, like Lekadine Kada, and obviously Leah Williamson. But she leaves as an absolute legend, done some great stuff behind the scenes of the club, does some great podcasting work, so do keep an eye out for the even better than our podcast. That's how good her podcast is. It's even better than ours. I mean, praise comes to higher than that.
She did actually mention that in the summer, should Arsenal not offer another deal, she would have retired. So we did sort of semi-predict that was right.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame. Had that have been the case, but at least she knew her race was over, but she didn't want to, she wanted to carry on. Bay FC come in, they give her an opportunity to play, and I think she's by the sound of it, she's already out there at the moment. She's going to be back for the Manchester United game at the Emirates, so she's going to get a proper goodbye. So maybe on 5 minutes, I don't know if this is being talked about by fans, but 5 minutes, Super Jen Beattie chant, get it going.
I could get behind that, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that's a really, really good idea. If she's in the stadium, I won't be there, sadly, but those who are there, not by choice, it's by work commitment, sadly. I would love to be in that stadium, and it looks like it's going to sell out. It's going to be incredible, the Man United game. But if she is in the stadium, then, or if she's not, but even better if she was, 5 minutes in, Super Jen Beattie. One last thing I wanted to mention is one of her greatest moments were never caught on TV because the coverage wasn't there. But if you look for the football statistics, she scored, because from the previous life, before being defender, she was a striker. She scored hat-tricks against both Chelsea and Barcelona. How many players can have that on their resume? A brilliant, brilliant player and a brilliant, brilliant person. And I think all of us Arsenal wish her all the best in Bay FC, and we hope we see you again soon at the home of Arsenal. A few more maybe pleasant things to talk about, and that is the Manager of the Month and Goal of the Month nominations, because Arsenal do have horses in these races. Jonas has obviously been nominated for the sterling work he's done in the month of January, and Viv's Thunder Blaster goal away at Liverpool, which I think me and Matt can agree was an absolute corker.
That is Goal of the Month. So anybody who says otherwise is go and get your eyes tested. End of story.
Not just because of the quality of the goal, but who scored the goal and what it meant. It's Viv. So that's if you're listening and you haven't yet, please go online and vote for them. A final point, Walk in Her Name is back. If you remember that last year, lots of Arsenal fans donated or walked the 100k to raise awareness and raise money for cancer research. And obviously this was done with Beth Mead in mind, and obviously the tragedy that happened with her and her mother. Beth Mead is captaining once again, so if you are an Arsenal fan and you there'll be lots of stuff about March they're doing it in. There'll be lots of stuff online about it. People looking to do the walk, support them, donate money, even if it's £5, £10. If as many Arsenal fans as we can to donate to those doing the walk, or do the walk yourself and encourage others to sponsor you. It all helps, and it all helps fight this awful, terrible disease that unfortunately takes away a lot of happiness out of our lives. And I think we can all relate to know someone, either yourself or to others who have suffered this. So yes, that's coming up. So do keep an eye out for it, and do what you can to support. Right, we shall move on to the game. There is a game this weekend, and that is West Ham away. So I must admit, this is a ground I'm actually going to the first time. Matt, you've been here before. You were there actually the last time we scored at this ground. Actually, who was the last player to score for Arsenal at this ground?
I believe it was Steph Catley.
Believe correctly, it was Stina, and then Steph Catley with a very well taken rocket, if I believe remember correctly. Wasn't enough on the day to obviously win the league title, and it was a rather sad sort of ending. Last season, it was of course 0-0 wasn't a great game. But early in the season was pretty good. 3-0, Beth Mead brace. First goal back for Beth Mead, obviously from her injury. And I think we all rather enjoyed the day out Frida with the other goal. Matt, what have you made of West Ham this season?
They have been very dodgy, but they've been this side that have been dodgy for a while. And you're thinking, okay, this is the time where you're going to eventually now get relegated. This is a team that since their inception into the WSL have been on the fringes of getting relegated nearly every season, and you're thinking, well, surely it's this time. Surely this time. In the past, there have been teams where they flirted and then they've eventually gone down. The likes of Reading, who made that great escape. You look at Leicester, who have escaped that at the moment. But there are teams that will continue to flirt. I mean, you could probably point to Brighton at the moment as well.
Yep, they're only 6 points off the bottom line.
It is a bit of a worry, but then you see that the pool they've had in this window, all of a sudden it's like a switch has been turned on. Katerina Gori has joined their ranks in the midfield, so she's going to be their solid rock. That she's going to be the one that's going to be making sure that they're as steady as they can be defensively. I think what the huge miss for them is Dagny Brunstottir, who is actually not available this entire season because she's actually pregnant. I believe she has had her son as well, so congratulations to her. But she is a huge miss. I can't count the amount of times that within the opening 5 minutes, Brunstottir had got that opening goal for West Ham. And then just after that goal, nothing else really happened with West Ham. They just sort of capitulated and would lose 2 or 3-1 last season. But they do still need someone like a Brunstottir in that side. I think they've recruited well in this January, and I think they'll be looking to up themselves up the table for sure. With this being at Dagenham Redbridge, where West Ham play, I think with the intensity that we had last time of just keep on shooting and eventually it will go in, and for whatever reason it didn't. This was around the time Westina wasn't finding their feet. Caitlin Ford was in a little bit of form and she couldn't find the back of the net, and it all just sort of fell apart from there. I think Jonas would use last season as the example, was make sure it doesn't happen again. Make sure that we put one in the back of the net, and if we get another one, make sure we get a second. If we can get a third, great.
Can I just look a question for the pair of you? Lottie, I'll start with you first. How many points have West Ham got won at home this season?
I know they've. Hang on. I haven't even looked at the table. I don't even know.
No, look. It's just it's a straight number guess. How many points do you reckon they've won at home this season?
6.
6, Matt. You're going higher or lower?
I was going to say 4.
4, 1. They got 1 point at home all season. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So just to break that down, that is a 1-1 draw at home to Liverpool, and their 2 wins were away at Brighton and Bristol. They've not. This is the thing. They've not been great this season. They have lost, and in some cases lost rather badly. As I said earlier, we won when they travelled to Meadow Park early in the season. We should probably have a look at the team in question from our perspective, and the obvious one is that Katie McCabe is suspended. I think we could all maybe have conspiracy theories around the suspension. Lottie, we did mention in the previous pod. Were you? Do you think this was a deliberate ploy to get the suspension out of the way?
I hope it was, because then she's ready for Man United. She's all fresh and ready to terrorise. So, and I do feel like Steph Catley needs a full 90 minutes now, because obviously Katie's been preferred at the moment. But nice to have. I think what I'm looking forward to for this game mostly is Caitlin Ford, Steph Catley, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Gori, and just coming up and playing against each other. It's just like, obviously Gori knows the rest. 3 of our players very, very well. So it's going to be interesting to see how she escapes Steph. If she goes down that left to try attempt on goal herself, how she's going to get around Steph Catley, or is she going to go another route?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the Osnall, as we're now being known as, come against their Aussie contingent.
Hopefully, we'll have an Aussie spine this weekend.
Wow, are you hoping for Kyra to step up into the
I say
field?
this every week, and it doesn't happen. So I'm still waiting.
We'll see.
Matt, anyone who is going up to the Emirates anytime soon, make sure you have a good look around, because the women are now outside the Emirates, every single one of them, and most of them are all outside the away end, which is absolutely beautiful.
That's good. I can't wait to see that. Next time I'm going there will be the Spurs game, so I can't wait. Hopefully the banners are still up when that's the case, and I do hope it's a permanent feature.
I think the only annoying thing is with Alessia Russo, they kind of move. She's right on the brim of the away end where the away fans go in, which is a little bit annoying for Man United coming up. I was hoping that she'd be right in front of it, but
we don't antagonise them too much. We want to beat them on the pitch, not just.
You're no fun. You're no fun.
I have fun, but I've other ways. There are worse ways you can break a person than just simply have a banner outside the away end. There are better ways of doing it.
Yeah, but Alessia Russo's playing on the right side this time. Let's not.
She's come to the light side of the force.
Alessia's falling down. Absolutely.
So last time out for West Ham, they actually won a game. Surprise, surprise, and that was away at Bristol City. Surprise, surprise there. They're now 3 points above the relegation zone. Looking on the way up, they've got, as you mentioned earlier, Matt, the likes of Gori. They've got the likes of Marika Bergman-Lundin, the likes of Kirsty Mewis in now. Real talent. Zadorsky's come in on loan from Spurs, a player Riansky knows very well. I did want to just tap on, did you get a chance to see their last home game when they played Spurs? That
was 4-3, wasn't it?
The 4-3 game to
they just lost
Spurs.
that. Yeah, they just lost that. The thing is, if West Ham are going to turn up against two teams out of that table, it's going to be us and Spurs, because it's a local derby. I'm sorry, but if you look at last season, for example, they played fantastically to keep us out. Crumble against Chelsea in the next fixture. They had one job. They had one damn job.
But it made the Conti Cup final even better. The Conti Cup final is even sweeter because we beat Emma Hayes in the final. You're doing us a favour.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And the thing is, we all know United's track record against Chelsea, but hey.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I just hope we kind of just break them down properly this time round and actually hit the back of the net. And I'm hoping Viv fancies another goal. I'd love for Viv to score again this weekend.
We should say, we'll go back onto a tease, but I did want to make an announcement that it's been confirmed the game is a sellout. I believe it's something like 1,400 fans, I think, are going to be crammed into the away end at the
I think their total was, I think their record is just under 4,000, and they're really close to it at the moment.
Yeah.
The last I read.
So as much as we can say well done to the Arsenal for the away allocation,
I think they're going to be invaded.
But providing, are you insinuating there might be Arsenal fans in the home end?
Oh yeah, come on.
That's what happened on the final
It's a bit
day.
like when we had. It's a bit like me and Matt were sitting in block 3, and was it? No, we were sitting in block 1 last season behind Emma Hayes. We were taunting her. She could hear us. She didn't rise to it. And the Chelsea scored, and then a Chelsea fan jumped up in front of us a few rows forward. I was like, what? Why are you here? It was in block 1 behind the away bench. This one person just stood up and screamed his head off.
Maybe they wanted
the
to
whole
get
block was just looking at her like, really?
Maybe they want to be close to Emma Hayes. They're a manager. They want to support the manager. Oh, well, that's their choice. They could have sat with the rest of Chelsea fans. Plenty of space in there.
What the puny little blue corner.
Exactly. Well, I'm hoping. I was there for the Liverpool game last weekend, and it was spectacular support. I'm hoping for something similar, so I'm really looking forward to this one. As for the teams, with Bouquet being suspended, I think it probably picks itself. I can't really think of any.
More or less, I think it's more of a debate of what midfield 2 were you going with for me at the moment, because you've got Kimmy, you've got Leah, and you've got Vic, and then you've got Kyra. Do you stick with Volti and Palova, because I'm loving that combination, or do you give Kimmy a run out?
But Kimmy's been playing more as a 10 recently. But
Yeah.
I think he wants to play Viv more to build up the relationship with Russo. Matt, I'll come on this. How do you see the midfield and the 10 working? How's that trio going to line up?
I don't think we're going to see any real changes. I think it's going to be stick with what we have so far. And the only change will obviously be Steph Catley comes in at left back, which then means there's an extra space on the sub bench. So we might see another youngster on the bench. This time around, it might be Vivian Leah that might step up just to fill that spot at the moment.
Another Leah.
Another Viv.
Another Viv, another Leah. We should actually, you mentioned about spaces. It did just come to me. Arsenal now actually have a space in their entire roster now. They were full to the brim until just now. Sadly, there wasn't enough time to make a signing, but it does obviously mean we will probably have an option to maybe bring someone in the summer that maybe we didn't think so originally. So something to keep an eye out for there. But back to the team, I'm really excited to see Viv potentially start again. I think what I saw at Liverpool once she got that goal, I mean, she said in the post-match, she was talking about how she wasn't as fearful anymore, a lot more confident. She's not worried about her knees. She sort of feels like a new player again. And we certainly saw some really good what we call line breaking passes before the goal. Some of the where ball she was pinging in behind the defence with likes of Mead and Fox to run onto. So I think that bodes well, especially against a team like West Ham, which is we all know is going to sit deep, low block. This is Rayanne Skinner we're talking about. We've played her game before. We know exactly how the team are going to line up, and it's just going to be like Liverpool, a game of patience. Don't do anything stupid at the back. Keep the ball moving fast. Get the accurate pass in. And I think a player like Viv will do that. Lottie, obviously, I think the front three. Lacasse isn't going to start, is she?
No, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Beth Mead is, as Viv would say, is teacher's pet, coach's pet, I should say. If you haven't seen that interview, you need to go back and watch it because Viv is just looking at Beth and Beth is just talking and digging herself a hole. It's hilarious. It's still one of my favourite interviews. But yeah, Beth's going to start. I think Leslie up top and then Caitlin Ford on the left. Although I would like to see Lacasse on the left just to give Caitlin a break.
I would like to see Lacasse come on earlier. I think Ida Jonas has to be braver in bringing off the likes of Ford or Beth early in the game and give Lacasse a bigger run out.
I agree with that, but he's not afraid to take Leslie off. And I like that because Stina's getting her minutes. So he's just got to be less afraid. I don't want to say he's scared of taking them off because of the reaction of the fans, but because both of them, well, Beth's the fan favourite more than Caitlin.
I don't think it's a fan thing. I just think it's a game state thing. He has to trust that Lacasse can do the job. Yeah,
there's that, but you also don't want to upset the fans at the same time.
Yeah, I do get that.
There are corners of this fan base that,
Yeah, well, this is one of the things that's been sort of preached to us. Is we have to embrace the idea that our favourite player may not play every game because of the talent we have. I've said this with the likes of McCabe. He has to have the courage to bench someone like Katie McCabe so other players can play the role. Obviously, his hand's been tied there. McCabe's been suspended.
Mention Steph Catley.
Just put it out there, though.
Well.
Would you rather have the squad now that we have and there's barely any injuries, touch wood, or would you rather have the squad where we're bare to the bare bones, but we still got the 25 squad list?
No, you want to be.
No, I'm happy with what we've got now. I like having this problem.
It keeps.
It just people think they know better than Jonas, but Jonas is with these guys most of the week. He's behind the scenes. He sees what we don't see on the pitch. So it's a case of you just got to trust him. And a lot of people, there's some people that won't.
You keep the opposition guessing, though, aren't you? Because it could be 1 week, it could be kind of Creamy Cross and Kim Little, or it could be next week Victoria Palova and Liv Velty.
Yeah,
you keep the opponent guessing, and it's almost like you're trying to play chess. But Jonas,
I think in a dream world, Tetris. In a dream world, you would rotate your players every game. You would have a different team to keep you on their toes. I just don't think we're in a position where we can do that.
I think we also need to remember the fact that in January, we've always had a slow start.
Yeah.
And I'm liking what I'm seeing at the moment. I'm clinging on to it. The men are not doing great. So I'm happy at the minute. So
That's true.
I'm coming along for the ride for January because it's normally a very slow start, and this is just something different for us, especially in January.
Yes, I this is my feeling is with this team is I would love, as I said, I would love it that we could one day play Cara Cooney-Cross, the next day play Leah Velti, and there'd be no change in the team in terms of the levels, in terms of the performance, in terms of the goal scoring, but the team is not there yet. It's going to take time. We spoke about Mel Phillips in the pod, and she wasn't given the time to do that. They expected them to be, top 3, top 4 already, which I think was grossly unfair. Although that being said, being 10th in the table isn't great. It's one of the reasons I was quite happy with the club when we'd lost our opening game of the season. We were out of Europe. We'd only drawn against Man United. They gave them a contract extension. They showed their faith and said, no, we trust you to ride out that wave, and this team will come back. And they have come back, and they're only 3 points off the top. And you just think if one fumble from Chelsea, it could happen. And we're in the race. Speaking of Jonas, have either of you watched the behind-the-scenes video of him doing a training session with the Arsenal players? He did, I think, with Sky. Yeah,
sort of.
Not yet. No.
In the preview to the Liverpool game, as part of the build-up, there's the full clips on YouTube. He explains some of the training activities they're doing, the 1v1 matches to work on the pressing and the passing. Really interesting to watch and see how his mind works with the training. It's very intense. It's very sort of high level stuff. So it's really interesting to watch. Caitlin Ford, Lottie, is she back on form?
I can see Matt sitting there cringing at this point. I don't know how to answer this question, but yeah, I'm not biting. Like, just don't wind your rod up, Matt. You're not getting a nibble. It's not happening.
Nom nom.
Yeah, I don't. She runs hot and cold. We all know this, and it's just, I'm just hoping she gets one past the West Ham keeper this weekend, because she was banging on the door last season, and it was just didn't happen for her.
Another player that Caitlin Ford will know very well. Indeed.
Oh yeah, Mackenzie Arnold. I forgot about Mackenzie Arnold.
I'm still wondering if she's injured.
Yeah, I thought she was out with injury.
Oh, is she?
Laughing at me. I thought she was injured.
I was thinking because last season it was Mackenzie Arnold, wasn't it? Last season it was Mackenzie Arnold. Yeah.
And this year is it Megan Walsh, who used to play for Reading?
Yes, I think it is. I've got the squad in front of me. So just going. Yes, Megan Walsh. Oh, there we go. So if it is Megan Walsh, maybe we'll have a chance, and maybe Caitlin Ford will have the element of surprise.
West Ham haven't revealed anything, so I don't know if there's any changes or Mackenzie Arnold is officially back. So apologies, Adam.
That's fine. I've been quite impressed with Ford. I like what I'm seeing. She's got that strength. She's always looking to beat the player on the outside. She's always looking to back the defender into the box. It's just sometimes in the final third, her finish goes a final ball or final finish goes a bit awry.
The last. Sorry, with Mackenzie Mackenzie Arnold.
I'll be back.
She tore a tricep. Against Canada over the Christmas period.
Okay.
So 14th December. So I think she may be still out. It's a weird arm injury, but obviously she's a keeper. She needs her arms.
Well, yeah, they are a critical part of being a goalkeeper. It's just
the union will agree with that.
Yeah. It's just that final product. It's just that last ball. It's that last pass. I mean, she got a nice goal against Liverpool. Took the finish very well. It's just finding that consistency in the final third. But I've always felt that she's in the last 2 seasons, she's always come alive in the second half of the season. That's when we sort of see the best of her, and hopefully we can get her on a good run of form going into the likes of Manchester City, Manchester United, Spurs, Chelsea. And I think she could be a crucial part of that. And obviously she'll be linking up with Steph Catley again, which we all know works rather well.
Yeah, that side is beautiful when they're together. I love it.
Absolutely. We won't do a team prediction because I think we all know what the team will be. Even though the weird thing is we've got all these options, but we know that Jonas will pick a particular 11, and likes of Stina, likes of Lacasse, they'll be coming off the bench. Although I will quickly say, do we think Leah Williamson will come off the bench for this one?
with London City Lionesses in midweek, I'd imagine not. I imagine it would be the same with Kim Little as well. Against she'll be starting against West Ham. I don't imagine that they'll be playing minutes, and if they do, it'll be the odd 10 minutes.
Yes, I was going to say, I'm not saying they're going to start. I don't think Kim
Oh,
will
no,
start.
I mean, like,
but off the bench, do you think Kim will come off the bench against West Ham?
I'd say the last 10 minutes. Same with
last
Leah.
10 minutes. So, like, okay, 10 minutes to get the game out, get applause from the fans. Lottie?
Closing minutes plus additional time.
Okay, so it would be good for her to get her first WSL minutes since the injury. I was watching the Liverpool game back, and all the pre-talk was about Leah Williamson. She's on the bench, and they're filming her in the warm-up, and they're showing her on the bench. And how many minutes does she get? None. So hopefully, she gets a run out.
Just quickly, Adam, how nice was it to see Kim Little back on the pitch?
What, in the last 2 games?
From the Liverpool. Let's go from the Liverpool game, because most recent there was a lot of appreciation for her there.
Kim Little is one of those players. I've said it time and time again. I only truly appreciated how good she was when I saw her in person. When you see the things that she can do in the midfield in person, both in the 10 and also in the double pivot, it's extraordinary. She's got she's got that, because she's so small, she's got the shifted body weight. She's like a pullover. She's press resistant. She can twist out of anything, but she can dictate the midfield. How many times when we play Chelsea, she's the player of the match when we win? I think of the Conti Cup final. I also look back on the draw, the 0-0 draw we had at the Conti Cup final. The recent, did she get player of the match against Chelsea, or was that Leslie, the one at Emirates Stadium?
Leslie got it.
That was Leslie. So the Conti Cup final, she was player of the match, and I think she was player of the match when we got a 0-0 draw away at Kingsmeadow a few seasons ago. But she's just this player that she's experienced like Jen Beattie, but she's still able to play at such a high level. And it's not a coincidence, it's not luck or strange when the likes of Tobin, who's the best player played with? Oh, it was Kim Little when she was in the NWSL. Really good to see on the back of the pitch. I also don't think it's a coincidence that when she did come on the pitch for the last, I think it was 20 minutes or so away at Liverpool, we started to look a lot more threatening in the final third. Now, I know there were other caveats around that. Liverpool defence was obviously tiring. There were 2 goals down, so the mentality is to defend maybe isn't as strong because the game has sort of drifted from them. Arsenal have made some changes. They brought Stina on, more pace in the front. But you got Kim Little on the pitch, and suddenly Stina's got 4 chances in the last 20 minutes. With what she's offering in the midfield. So really good to see her back. I hope we see a bit more than 10 minutes from her against West Ham. Another 20 minutes would be great. And I think you probably got right. I think she'll probably start against London City Lionesses, and I think she'll probably start again with Cara Cooney-Cross in the midfield. And that will be quite exciting. I'm not sure if the pair of them have played together. Should say Viv Cara was interviewed. I think it was Optus Sports. I think it was Optus Sports, and there was a quote from Miedemar who's talking about how she's like this really raw talent. So she's there's a vote of confidence from one of the best players in the world about Kyra. So I'd like to see her play with Kim Little, because I think she could learn a lot off her. Before we move on to score predictions, just quickly a word on Viv actually. Now that she scored a goal, and a great goal at that, do you think now is the moment where Viv is going to explode for the rest of the season, and we're going to see this number 10 position that apparently she's always wanted? This has been the position she wants to play. She can do all these great passes, great moments, great goals. Is this the moment where Viv is, like Beth Mead, back and playing normally? Matt?
I thought you were going to go to Lottie first, if I'm honest. But
I know, that's why I went to you.
At this moment in time, I think it's finally getting the monkey off your back, so to speak. Once something's happened, it's like, right, okay, it's done now. Let's try and see if I can continue this going. It's a bit like Caitlin in another way. Once she's scored one, she'll go, right, okay, I'll score another one in the next game, and then she goes and scores against Liverpool as well. So it's very similar attitude, mentality. But I know Viv's not very big on the goals, but now that she's got one, I think she's got. I imagine she's set herself a setting of maybe 5 goals this season. She's got one in the WSL with against Liverpool. I imagine that she'll want to keep it going. Just thinking back how crucial she was last season when we didn't have Beth, it was
Yeah.
who scored the winner against Everton. It was Viv. Who was the one that was scoring goals when we needed her to be putting in the goals. It was Viv. So I imagine now, although it's not really going to be her job, so to speak, I think she's going to be. I think 5 goals for her this season would be a good tally, and if she can add a few more assists on top of that, I think she'll be happy.
Lottie, do you think where do you see Viv at the moment? Do you think she's back at the best, or are we not quite there yet?
You're mounting the pressure too soon. She's got that first goal. You need to remember she's the record holder for all-time goal scorer for the WSL.
Really? I never knew that.
You're so funny.
No one mentioned it before.
You sure? Yeah, but I just think the expectation on her needs to be reduced. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Like, we've got numbers now to score. We don't have to rely on her to carry us all the way through. I mean, I sometimes I feel like now Viv is back up and running. I'm wondering if Viv and Beth are going to have a competition now who can score the most goals before the end of the season. But it might be a case of they do that next season. But it's also a motivation thing as well. It kind of reminds me of I think Leah Williamson interview. Beth, she assisted Beth when she scored. She turned around and said, before the game, I'm going to assist you to score to Beth, and that's what happened. So anything's possible, but I'm not one of these fans that's going to pressurize her. I want her to enjoy her football.
No, we shouldn't really be pressurising her. I think she's going to have the pressure herself.
She's got her own mental expectations. Never mind what fans want. I think she said once, fans are savage.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And it does anything we do say when it's horrid, it does affect them if they see it. And it's a good,
in fairness, I've seen players call fans worse things. Lindsay Horan springs to mind.
That was taken out of context, to be fair.
It was.
When I read the article.
Yes, and so was my comment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was completely taken out of context, and you just you were trolling, weren't you? Yeah, you were trolling, weren't you, on social media? Let's have this conversation later. Back to the football.
Well, as Lindsay Horan said, let's talk about football. And football shall. Before we move on to the score prediction, therefore, I want a quick yes or no for both of you. Lottie, Conti first. Do you think that Viv will sign a contract extension at the end of the season?
Yes.
Yes, because she's obviously it's the end of her contract. Matt, yes or no? Yes. Okay. Well, fingers crossed she does. So,
Adam, you haven't answered your own question yet.
Yes, obviously.
Full house.
Woo. Score predictions then. Lottie, I'll come to you first. What's it going to be?
Hat-trick to Viv. I'm joking. I'm going to have 4-0 Arsenal.
4-0 Arsenal. I like the sound of that.
I'm going to have that. As for Stina, I don't know if she'll get on the score sheet because after what I saw at Liverpool, I don't know.
Sorry for her. She came so close, and I'm talking about like a
no, I saw her on the
an
replays.
inch.
I watched it back frame by frame, and I was just like, no.
We should say Arsenal are 8 goals behind Manchester City and 9 goals behind Chelsea in the goal difference charts.
Yeah, I'll take the 4.
There's a lot of goals we need to catch up on, especially when you look at who the other who Chelsea Man City got.
The thing is, it doesn't help that certain teams, the other team in Middlesex, let themselves get smoked 7 something.
Yeah, something like that.
So
Matt,
that doesn't help. And Bunny Shaw, she scored about 9 in 5
hat-tricks.
games against them. Yeah,
something like that.
She loves it.
Matt, any higher on 4? Can we go 5? Can we go 6?
I was actually going to say 3 now.
Fair enough. I'll go 3-1. I'll go 3-1. I think it will be just a win.
Don't trust that back line, no?
Just because, again, it's the whole... I know
or is it Manu?
No, it's not Manu. It's the fact that, like, I know we got a clean sheet against Liverpool and it was a really well-disciplined performance, but we just have this knack of just conceding stupid goals. Just one goal, but it'll be a stupid goal.
Yeah. No, I'll give you that. I give you that, but I think the away support's going to be monumental against whoever's in goal.
I think Kirsty Mewis will score her first West Ham goal against us. I don't think she scored for them yet.
I think Sam Kerr will be watching.
Or,
So,
no,
yeah.
no, it's not Kirsty Mewis, it's Christy. Is it? No,
It's Christy.
Crystal.
It's
Christy
Christy.
Mewis. Yeah, sorry, Christy Mewis. Got my eye on one around. So I think 3-1 there. So we'll just pour over the rest of the weekend before we wrap up. So Saturday, Villa versus Bristol City, 12:30 kickoff. Villa are now in a game when they can play Noel Maritz at home against the Bristol City side, who are bottom of the league. I can only see this really going one way. I know Aston Villa have been a bit pants this season, although they are 8th in the table. They are climbing. Matt, any hope for Bristol?
I don't think so. No, I think oddly enough, a lot of people are expecting like Daphne Van Donstella to be their goalkeeper in this time because they think Bristol are going to have a lot of shots. I don't think they will. If I had to put a score on it, I think it's going to be 4-0 Villa.
4-0 Villa. Should say they lost a previous outing away at Manchester United 2-1. I don't know if any of you have seen the replays at all from any of those games. There was a debatable penalty that Rachel Daly won in the box and scored. Lottie, your favourite Daly, is she going to drag Villa to safety?
I think this game's going to be a draw. I'm going to go for 2-2 because Bristol seem to somehow find a way if you look at their score lines, and Villa's form hasn't been fantastic. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw because Bristol are trying. With what the resources they have, they're doing well from my point of view.
And they have just signed Lisa Evans, ex-Arsenal forward, ex-West Ham
Lisa
forward.
is now a Robin.
Lisa Evans is now a Robin. So best of luck to Lisa as an ex-Arsenal player. We wish her all the best. And
hopefully she'll get some minutes.
She'll get some minutes.
In West Ham.
Get some minutes, get some goals, because she has got goals in her. And, she's got a hat-trick against Spurs. No better compliment than that. Manchester United versus Brighton Sunday, 12 o'clock. Brighton obviously now under an interim manager at the moment. Man United are at home, looking to try and get a bit of momentum after their battering at Stamford Bridge. Lottie.
New manager bounce for Brighton, so to speak, although it's interim. 2-1 Brighton.
Wow. Okay. Well, I should say though, the last time that Brighton went to Manchester, they actually got a win, and that was at Manchester City's Joy Stadium. We should have that caveat. They have gone to an away ground and got a result. Matt, have you any hope for? Are you as optimistic about Brighton as Lottie is, or?
You'd kind of
how quiet I got there.
Yeah, it's like you didn't even believe what you were saying.
No, I didn't.
You kind of do hope with these sorts of things. If I'm honest, I think this time around, unfortunately, Brighton don't see anything really. I just imagine United are just going to do what they always end up doing somehow, and that's getting their way.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be anything special. I think it's going to be something like 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4-0. I just think Man United. I mean, Man United away at Brighton, terrific game. Brighton got a 2-2 draw, and it was that made me think,
Brighton should have won that game.
Yeah, last minute Rachel Williams equaliser, and it was that game that made me think, Brighton, I've got something about them here. They've got a good high press, they've got good energy about the game, they're getting the goals, but they can't defend. They cannot defend. Which is bonkers because they went to Man City and got a clean sheet and got a win, but pretty much every other game they've just been wide open and battered. So. No, sadly, I do think Brighton are going to lose that one, which is annoying, really. West Ham Arsenal we'll discuss. We should say it's a 12:30 kickoff, and it's live on BBC Two. So if you're not watching, I tell you, there is no rugby on the Sunday because the rugby is actually happening as we speak. So no excuse. 12:30 BBC Two live. West Ham at home to Arsenal. So do make sure if you can't go to the game because the tickets are gone, tune in and support the team. Elsewhere, Man City at home to Leicester. I mean. Matt, it's a Leicester win. Leicester win. It's a Man City win. I wish it was a Leicester win. It's going to be a Man City win, isn't it?
Yes. You'd imagine so. And it could be another hit and run from City at this moment in time. But you never know. Leicester do have the odd surprise. I mean, they were 2-0 up at half time against us, and then it all fell apart. I mean,
Yeah,
last
that's not
time
giving me. I'm looking for hope here, Matt. I'm looking for something to
last
feed
time
on to make you
I
think
was
Man City can
just
get a
about to
result. You're
get
not
into
helping.
last time they got there. I mean, City only won 1-0, and that was down to Chloe Kelly in the second half. And to be
Yes.
honest, City didn't really deserve anything that day. I think a draw would have been a fair result on that day. So as long as that Leicester turns up, the one that was very defiant and we shall not be moved, the brick wall, whatever you want to call it, is there, then I imagine that's going to be the case. But at this moment in time, I think it could, with how City are just free scoring, if you can cut that supply off early doors, and they don't really have a backup plan.
I mean, this is Man City's the last home game Man City had was the home game against Liverpool. And the thing is, with Man City, once you let one goal in, that's it. The rest just flow and flow and flow. You have to restrain them, and maybe Willie Kirk can set them up right. Lottie, any hope for Leicester?
I want to say yes, but I can't. I'd be lying to myself. I'm going to call this a 0-0 draw just to upset City.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, we are clutching at straws here
because I'm going for a full house of wrong scorelines today. So let's do it.
I'm looking at the fixtures weekend, and all I'm just seeing is like we've got to beat West Ham because all our other rivals are winning this weekend. The interesting one for me is Liverpool at home to Spurs. They're both on 18
Liverpool
points.
winning that one. Liverpool.
They'll
win that one. Yeah.
Matt.
Excuse me. I think this time around it is going to be Liverpool. I think they'll be a bit disappointed. They didn't really have anything to go for them against us this last weekend. And the only chance they really had was the 1-on-1.
Yeah.
And even then, on another day, that probably goes in 2-1, and then chaos towards the last additional minutes. But no, I imagine Liverpool will go out there and they'll put in a performance. I mean, they're going to show in how good she is. So I imagine she's going to kick on. So I'm going to go with. You know what? I'm going to go with a bit of a cricket score here. I'm going to go 4-0 Liverpool.
I mean, Liverpool lost their last two games. Admittedly, they were against one was against Arsenal and against Man City. This at home, I would expect them to do a bit better. And there is a lot of talent in that team. Matt Beard's a very good manager, so I would expect them to do better than they did against us because I think they focused more on trying to contain us rather than actually expressing themselves. And I think that was to their detriment. Last game, before we wrap up for the night, Chelsea at home to Everton, 6:45. It's a Sky game kickoff. Hot on the heels of our men's game against Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium. Lottie, throw me a bone here. give me something. Give me something to hope for because I'm just seeing goals.
Well, I'm just seeing at MHA's cricket scoreline, so don't ask me. I don't know. I don't know. Unless Everton can pull a magic trick out of the hat, which Matt might know. But
yeah, Matt, you are a resident Everton expert here. Tell me this, Matt's the manager's got. What is it, Brian?
Please tell us there is hope.
There's something.
I think the January transfer window has actually helped them a little bit.
All right.
Towards the end of the window, they ended up getting a few players in, which will help them. And so a little bit of unknown there. It's just a shame they haven't got anyone in defensively. But it will be great to see like Everton win this one 5-4 or something in like the last minute. Sorry, Adam's gone there.
Sorry, there is like delusion.
What have you been smoking?
Matt, there's delusion, right? 5-4. You're saying a 5-4 win for Everton.
That wouldn't be my actual prediction, but if it.
I mean, I'm all for it.
No. That you said the numbers now. That is your prediction. It's done.
That is your prediction, right? So on record here, we got it in record. Matt has said 5-4. So if you're looking for a prediction or a lottery ticket, obviously that's the one to look for. I can only see Chelsea winning this one. Sadly, I think Everton did well when they came to us. It was only the 2-1 defeat they suffered. They gated us very well. Snice obviously got a very good goal on the counter. But I mean, look again, they're on the same amount of points as Brighton this season. They're joint ninth, however you want to flip it. Everton should be putting it away. I think they beat them quite comfortably early in the season. I see no difference here. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a weekend where Man United, Man City and Chelsea, who are all playing at home, are going to win all their games, and we'll have to try and win ours. And interesting for us is actually our third away game on the spin in all competitions, and we've got a fourth one around the corner with LCL. We're going to have 4 away games in a row before we get to the home comforts of Meadow Park once again for the FA Cup. So hopefully, hopefully
then we're off to the Emirates after that.
And then we're off to the Emirates.
For the next 2 games.
Oh, some of us are. But that's it. That's the end. I hope there is an upset in those group of fixtures, but quite frankly, I don't see it. But this is football, and you never know. So on that rather depressing, resigned look of a bombshell, it just leaves me to say farewell to my fellow co-conspirators. And where can we find you in the world of social media, Matt? Where can we find you?
You can find me at MattLR28, or you can also follow us at VAW Pods.
Absolutely. Do give that pod Twitter account a follow, because all our updates are there, all our pod updates, YouTube updates, it's all there. And we also occasionally post about congratulations to certain players, like I know.
Oh, speaking of which, Faye White, happy birthday.
Oh, well mentioned and well remembered. Yes, happy birthday, Faye White. I mean, we spoke about Jen Beattie being an Arsenal legend. Faye White's up there as well. Absolute rock at the back, absolute legend. Lottie, where can we find you?
Well, you can't find me at Lottie_AWFC because I'm hardly there anymore. I am around on the Twitter sphere somewhere, but I'm not overly active anymore, put it that way. I usually only go on Twitter now just to see what Adam's up to be honest. To see who he's upsetting. It's comical. Adam, where can we find your comical laughs?
Oh dear, where can you find the nonsense I post and the people I wind up on a daily basis? It's the cross I have to bear. It's at Adam Salter4.
It's not something you bear, it's something you absolutely enjoy and just have a right.
Sometimes it depends on the context. But yes, that's it. That's where you want to find me. Also, you can follow me on my Twitter account. You can follow at Sporting Her, where my if you think my Twitter account is a load of nonsense /X account, then you should read the stuff I write, because it's equally as nonsensical. But that's it. That's the end of the pod, end of the preview. I think we're all hoping for an Arsenal win, a win that will hopefully keep us in the title race until our big fixtures, which are looming ever so menacingly around the corner. Have a good weekend all, and best of luck to the Arsenal.